12:30, we'll re-rack these things and show them again. We'll have lunch for you at noon. We'll get through it all, and Stacy will go ahead and take care of that. Showpig.com is obviously she works for them and one of the higher-ups in there. We're going to get right on to it. I'll kind of introduce the lots. I'll try not to say too much about them. I'll spot in here and there. Brandon obviously is much better with his words and has a great livestock mind. But lot 1 and 2, we're going to drop in first here, and Coop and Maddie are going to help get these pigs stuck in drove. Interesting kind of pedigree here out of the found boar. Some people refer to him as Todd, but that would be the boar we bought at the Holy Smoke sale from Gary Todd and Hoff Schulte. Kind of teamed up on that. We talked about him a lot, but that pedigree on him, that in-game mommy comes out of certainly a thing. What's a little unique in here is we have top secret on the south side, the top side of the south side on a Frederico deal. So if you saw this sow out in the lots, Brandon, I don't think I've ever showed it to you, but she is exotic looking. She is clubby looking. She's crossbred looking. The whole point was we were going to make a dirty Burke, and we didn't get semen in on the right time. So long story short, here's a pair of gilts out of her. I think one of these in particular is a pretty salty kind of female. We'll let you discuss them.
Yeah, well, I mean, we drop in lot 1 and 2, and, you know, you heard James briefly describe Mom in terms of just her wild look and just presence and just clubbiness that she brings to the table. I think that's pretty prevalent when you study this pair. To just talk them in order, we got Coop with lot number 1 as she tracks across the ring there. To me, the things that jump out first is just one that's rugged. She's stout-jawed. She's big-armed. She's got big feet. You study that gilt up high. In terms of just true shape out of the backside of their blade, a big pin set, and true power and just squareness as they turn and leave. I think that's one that's pretty bulletproof from a build perspective. She's husky. She's stout. I think a really good gilt in this particular offering. You know, I'm not sure which one James was referring to. You know, I'm kind of drawn to this calico gilt. To me, like lot 1, I think she runs uphill. She's got the same presence and the same proportionality there from the side. This one maybe even takes just bulk, spread, and density to a higher degree. That thing from her blade to her forerib, back to her mid-body to her hip is absolutely bulky. She's wide from every angle. Yet she still does that, crisp in her lines, attractive out front ahead of her blade. I think my favorite part about her is her ability to just push and go out back. You know, maybe some people don't love calicos, but if you like winning and you like owning good crossbred gilts, I think lot 2's really, really good. That lot 1's right there behind her. I think a tremendous pair here to get us started from STG.
And again, that is lot number 1 and lot number 2. Lot number 1 would be the chromed up pig, the black and white. Lot number 2 would be the calico pig. We'll head those out, and we'll drop right in the ring just as fast as they leave. Lot 3 and 4, we'll stick with the small town firm here. And a pair of gilts that are coming in and kind of a unique pedigree here. Purebred influence, so if you're looking to do some of those NJSA deals this summer, these would certainly fit. But we've talked about the found boar, you know, that pedigree that he has on top, and I think his coming out party was in December, and December, January, and February, we've seen a lot of good pigs out of him. I don't know if we need to say a whole lot more about him. But the dam, the 22-3, she's a purebred Hampshire. She's derived from the Danner firm, and in her show days back in 24, she was the reserve champion Hampshire Guild at NJSA, and then last year she went on and produced the reserve champion Hampshire Guild at NJSA. So a pretty winning pedigree that we have in this pair of pigs that are coming out here, and certainly a mom from a Hampshire standpoint that is very warm-blooded. It wasn't intentional to make a crossbred litter out of this. She was bred pure to have a November litter. She came back on us, and we stuck the crossbred semen in her, and pretty pleased with this pair of gilts that we have, Brandon.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Kicking through them in the barn, I kind of just thought they were two very, very high-end crossbred gilts. You throw the fact that they have papers and they're pure influence. Maybe for those of you tuning in, thinking about an Expo, an NJSS, I think you could certainly get into this pair of hogs here. Let's get them kicked out to the center of the ring there. We'll go ahead and start kind of with the off-belted lot number 3 gilt. You know, to me, I think that's one, you know, maybe she's a little skittish out here. If you just study that gilt and study her angles, her shoulder, her knee set, just length of hip and ability to have a good kind of posture and bend to her back leg, I think that's a gilt you can really gravitate towards. I talk about extras and moving on from there. I think a neat look, a kind of a cool-looking skull shape, big spread and hard muscle up top, yet still comfy. I think a really neat pig. And then we'll get into her littermate sister with the lot number 4, your thin belt there. She's probably the one that's a little more exotic of the pair. That one's got an extreme kind of a chest floor, yet her shoulder still sets into her cavity correct. She has no crest at the top side of her neck, yet it jumps wild out of the top of her blade. From there back, she's equipped with that same kind of hip and hind leg quality we just discussed on her sister. I think she does it with even more punch and just bulk when you study her go away. I think that one's pretty big league from a pure influence standpoint. I think another tremendous pair of these pure influence gilts.
All right, that was lot 3 and lot 4 of Small Town, and I'll put a disclaimer in there. The Small Town pigs, our sell order is pretty complicated how we put it together, Brandon. You might have a more complex system you can share about yours, but we went smallest ear notch to biggest ear notch, so that's how I put my sell order together. So I'm not saying it's best to worst. I'm not saying it's worst to best or any certain thing like that. The good ones are spread all around in ours, but Redwood might have a different rhyme or reason, but on an online sale, there is no reason to get a sell order put together, so it just made it simple like this. And as we drop into lot 5 and 6, this is the Redwood firm coming in here. Lot number 5, a real cool pedigree on this 74-3 crossbred boar, and say so, strictly business, dark cross classifying. What's important on here to study is the dam was the $28,000 purchase from Goss at Kings 1 2 seasons ago. I know she's racked up some winners along the way and some high-dollar baby pigs, but certainly that lot 5, that pedigree just makes you want to look at it. You get your eyes on that pig and certainly backs up what the pedigree says it's going to do. I know there's discussion within the firm, do you like 5, do you like 6 better, the pair that's out here, and little different pedigree, the different league 61 on a heavy hitter in-game sow, and that's the pig that Coop's on, if I'm correct, right? No, the one Maddie's on over there on the far side. And again, like the sow herd that Redwood has put together, they are high rent, they are high dollar, and they are visually very, very eye appealing. And the genetics that are behind those things and the firms that they've either bred or they bought them from to get them, certainly, they're some of the very best in the business. It is no wonder why the pair of crossbreds that they're starting with here and all the pigs are going to run look like this and have a chance to be what they'll do. I'll let Brandon discuss the pigs in particular, visually what he sees as a judge, but from a pedigree standpoint, I don't know how you can get much better than this pair.
Yeah, I told James a month ago we were pretty excited about the pigs, and, honestly, we get kind of sentimental towards some females and stuff. I could tell you lot number 5's mother, James touched on, she was not a pricey or not a cheap pig, but I think a very good investment we made there with the Hagen crew there at Kings 1 a couple seasons ago. These pigs are sired by One Way. I think that boar needs no introduction. Those hogs are feeding, and they're doing extremely good. This will be her first litter. She gave us 5. We brought 5. We're big fans of these pigs. To start kind of with this lot 5, to me, in terms of just modern density, modern length, and one that's heavy duty, while still having the build to make it long-term, I think that pig's extremely good. To me, it all kind of starts up front. You study his forehead, his forearm, his chest, his rib. I think he's a hog that just reads with tremendous power. To me, I just think his neck attachment and just lower neckline, his length of hip, and just ability to push and go, I think is really good. If you like neat colored ones, he's certainly one that's very unique in that regard. I think that pig's extra special. Lot number 6 is one that, we go back and forth. I know Garrett and Bryce are real big fans on this 6, and I am too. To me, he's just one that's really arrogant in terms of his presence. His neck and just head is so attractive in the way that he just throws it out up front. For a hog that maybe silhouettes and patterns like that, you wouldn't think so, but I challenge you, study a chest, a rear view, and get on top of his back and his rib cage. That guy's packing some serious punch in those regards. Big feet. I think that's a hog that, if you had an end of July or an August, you could certainly push. I think that hog could get really fun in that August window. I like our first pair here in lots 5 and 6.
And heading out, lot 5 and 6, the Redwood Crew, the one with the black dot would be number 5, and the one that doesn't have that black unique mark on it would have been number 6. I don't know how we're going to run these out pairs, but next in for small towns, going to be the 174 litter, and crossbred barrows found on the top side of the pedigree, on a purebred York on the bottom side, the 133-6, and that was a salty lady that showed and had lots of accolades. I didn't take the time to look it all up in the thing and put in there, but again, purebred influence type stuff here. You got a light cross, you got a Yorkshire classifying one. I believe we're going to see about 5 of these 174 litter pigs, and here's the start of them. These are the barrow prospects out of the litter.
Yeah, I think we drop out another pair. I think it is important to note, whether you want to win with a Yorkshire or a light cross, or if you're still hunting for some pure influence stuff, I think these pigs could certainly get the job done. To keep them in order, we'll talk with the blue rumped one that Maddie drives. To me, that's a hog that's got a sharp look ahead of his shoulder. That's a big, pliable kind of a rib cage. To me, if you just want a good, honest, easy feeding kind of a pig, that hog's always going to have a bulky center body. He's always going to be big and fresh in terms of his back. That guy's extra shape and just dimension from behind, I think, will always stay with him. I just think a bulletproof one with no holes certainly got some quality and some look. Then we'll talk the white one that Cooper tries to get across the ring there. He is solid white as far as I could tell. So if you have a Yorkshire qualifying division, I think he could certainly be on your short list. Not only just because he qualifies, I think from a quality perspective, his height and length up front is really, really good. And like his blue brother, I think his blade, his midrib, and his just true power certainly matches, and it looks like it'll be a consistency moving forward in this particular litter. I think a tremendous pair, whether you need a light cross, a Yorkshire, or a pure influence, I think this pair of them can get the job done for you.
That would have been lot 7 and lot 8. And Maddie's going to drop in. What do you got there, Maddie? 10? Maddie's going to be on 10. I assume 11's going to be coming closely after. Is that correct, Lance? Yep. 11's out there. 9 and 10. Sorry, 9 and 10 are out here. Litter mates that we're going to have. We're going to get into the gilt selection here. Actually, 9 is a barrow, and 10 and 11 are going to be gilts out here. So I think the quality, Brandon, we don't need to talk about the pedigree again, but certainly from Yorkshire classifying stuff at a county fair level, these look like they could be very, very competitive. I think they're well suited for any July venue. Maybe into mid-late June, you could probably get into those, maybe some lighter middleweight type stuff, and even ones if you want to stretch into the early August part of the world. I think they'd fit real good there. But with that York in there, probably going to grow a little more than the average crossbred. But, a nice looking barrow there, and I think there's a pair of pretty salty gilts that are going to be coming.
Yeah, we drop out another pair of these white hogs. To start with that barrow, to me, just build, balance, and design. I think he checks those boxes and does so rather quickly. I think he's comfortable off both ends of his body. He's wide, he's bulky. That's a hog with true, real muscle. Like James said, I think you could certainly put some gas on these things and get them to some earlier endpoints. I think what's cool about them, though, is they're moderate in terms of their body length. They're certainly hogs I think you could also sit on, and they're going to always keep their shape, keep their rib cage laid into them correctly. I think a really neat barrow there in lot number 9. Lot number 10 drops out, and to me, of the pair, maybe even sharper looking in terms of just her head and neck, in terms of the way it just comes out of her shoulder. Maybe a gilt that's even better in terms of just her extra stoutness she carries down low, in terms of foot and bone. I think a really neat gilt, whether you're talking, a breeding arena or a market setting, I think she's certainly very, very high quality. Yeah, and then we'll drop out as I believe it's the last mate in this particular litter. Lot number 11. Like the gilt we just talked, another one that's sharp and extended. To me, you compare her maybe even to her mates. This one maybe gets the most extreme to me in terms of her width underneath her, that chest floor, that kind of rib, and that kind of a rear view. That's a big pin set. That's a hawk that's set perfect into her stifle. She's square. She's flexible. and also got a sharp, kind of a neat head, a look up front. I think that's certainly a short list Yorkshire qualifier in here. Certainly could be another fun one if you want to talk long term and maybe making a sow. I think she could do that as well.
And that was the 174 litter, I believe, lots 9 through 11 going to head out. Heading back to Redwood here. 12 and 13 are going to be coming in. Litter mates to 5 and 6 are their pair that started. And again, as you can see, it's not going to be an order that's sorted best to worst, in my opinion. This is honestly the first time that I have seen the Redwood pigs out here. I saw them as they got unloading in the pens briefly, but lots of stuff going on. Haven't studied them as much, but real excited about the quality. Lot number 12 is going to be the thin-belted one that Coop's on there. Again, Say So, strictly business, out of that $28,000 pig that them and Hagen's teamed up on and has done really well for him. And certainly number 13, the Different League 61. That Different League stuff is just so potent, not only for the Redwood firm, but where it's worked everywhere in the country. And Ottenwalter's just had a sale today, Brandon, and Different League's probably done as well up there as it has anywhere else in terms of adding skull shape, bone, body, mass, and power, and yet keeping it in a clubby, flexible kind of look. So excited about this pair. Excited to see what Brandon has to say about him. Obviously, he's studied them more than I have.
Yeah, we only brought 12, and we just kind of thought between the two litters, we just kind of offset them and just kind of scatter them out. I could tell you, if you come and you study them in person, you could certainly gravitate towards some different ones. I could tell you, to me personally, this thin-belted Lot 12 is one that gets very high on my short list. He's a hog that, in terms of just his head shape and ability to have that kind of a look up front, I think is really good. Chest floor, you guys will notice in this litter of hogs, is pretty extreme. I could tell you Mom wasn't the one to go out and be the pretty gilt and win every weekend. She is what I would definitely consider to be a breeding piece. She is stout, she is bulky, and she is massive. I think these pigs, for as immature as they look now, I think they could get really, really fun. I love that guy's just proportion, his balance, his bend. With that kind of bulk, I think he could get really, really fun. To me, lot number 13, if you'd asked me a month ago, I thought he was a green hog that had a chance. I could certainly tell you now he's hammered on the old feed pan the last few weeks. I think this guy's going to be pretty darn good. To me, he's very immature in terms of his muscle, yet his width, his indicators of skull and arm and rear bone, I think are good. He's got a big root on top of a long hip. He's short-bodied and he's bulky. I think that pig's very, very nice as well. I think a neat pair. See if James maybe has some comments for you.
No, and I certainly think, seeing these things for the first time, and you can see me leaning over and looking at them, a little different in terms of type and kind, and certainly 12, like that exotic look that thing gives you from the side is next level in my opinion. And if you know anything about me, I'm a presence guy, I'm a first impression guy, and I can just envision that pig, not only when it walks out here, but when it's a full-size market hog and walks out in the ring, that added elevation at the point of the shoulders, that head carriage that thing has sitting on the top of its blade, that slick neck, that sharp look, the angles that one has, the shoulder slope, man, that thing just reads all kinds of good. And then you get behind it, and for a pretty pig, the one thing that happens when you get them pretty on the side, you're like, there's not going to be enough pig when they come and go from you. And that one, in terms of blade width, knee width, and foot width coming at you, I think is near ideal. And that one, from a pin set standpoint, extra width up high, and that one's got everything you want from behind. For a pig on the side that I would call green and futuristic, I honestly think you can kind of slow roll that one for what it has, and that thing could be very, very dangerous when it gets up to 270, 280 pounds and play at a big show. I'm not going to lie, Brandon, right now, like that 13 is probably the one that intrigues me the most, even though 12 is my kind. That stoutness of bone and feature that one has, and that skull shape and jaw, man, that thing is unique, and in my opinion, that one's next level. From a proportionality standpoint, that thing is what a big ring barrow needs to look like, in my opinion. That's a pretty salty pair. I thought 5 and 6 were real good, and then I sit in right here and it makes me question which direction do I need to go. That speaks to the quality of hogs they breed. That speaks to the genetics. When you get multiple good ones in a litter, those are exciting things to think about. But go back, study these hogs. I don't know which one's better, but they're certainly short list kind of pigs. All right, we're back to Small Town, lot 14 and lot 15 coming in the ring here. And lot number 14, is that 14 or 17? You're on 14. Maddie's on lot number 14, and a pair of them here out of the hardcore boar, which is a boar that was at Purple Power Boar Stud, that Tristan Gamble boar. He was a calico, if you remember him, and that picture was just so intriguing. And I actually saw that boar when we were up at Danner's one time. If you ever been there, you get to go to the barn, and Chris likes to get those pigs out. And there's 3 or 4 people that take real good care of you. The hospitality at Purple Power Boar Stud and Danner Livestock is next level. If you ever get a chance to go there, I'd do it. And I just remember that calico boar. He was young and he was small, and I think Blake gathered him up when he was a little baby pig, and I'm like, that's a pig that needs to be used. Kind of forgot about him, was internet surfing boars, and I'm like, oh, that's that calico boar. Took a deadly picture. This is kind of what I envisioned when I'd get there. I'm a big fan of this pig, and the added stoutness, look, and bone that this one has with futuristic characteristics. We'll see what Brandon says. Really suits me. That 173-3. Blake and Cody were out breeding with us today, but kind of that big old crossbred looking sow you guys saw out there, that would be the mom of this litter here. She's a one-man band, which is a Wintex boar that was up at Platts for a while on a Trump sow. No one will know about the Trump boar that we have, but he's a boar I picked up in Oregon, and he goes back to some of Moyer's stuff from about 7 years ago when they were kind of, they're always dangerous, but when they had those big power hogs. So pedigree's real cool on here, combining Moyer and Wintex on the south side, and then you go ahead and put that Tristan Gamble boar on the top side. Cool things happen.
Well, I could tell you, James might have commented that sow might have some age, but if she can throw modern bone, just fullness of column, a rear bone, with that kind of shortness of body, that kind of presence, she can certainly stick around and eat sow feed here at Small Town Genetics. A short lister here, guys. A neat skull, moderate length. That's a round rib and a giant pin set. I've already commented on it. I'm going to do it again just for fun. That's as big and full of a back leg as you'll find. More importantly, it's easy to get bones big. His bones are flat and smooth in terms of joint work. His hock is square and bendy in terms of push. That is a very, very good pig. And what happens in times you drop one out like lot 14, sometimes it doesn't matter the other one you drop out and they get left behind. I could tell you this little black-headed pig is not one to sleep on. That's a striking look, a round kind of a rib, and he's one that's maybe a little greener today in terms of flesh. I can assure you when this guy bulks up and gets on feed and does the things that I think he will, he'll certainly be a very, very good project come this August. I think a very fun pair with a very short lister there in lot number 14.
$14 and $15 go out, $16, $17 come in. Going to be litter mates here again, hardcore on that one-man band sow, and I did misspeak on it here. One-man band would be the Stoquist boar, not the Wintex boar. When you talk about it there, Brandon kind of corrected me on that. I will say that the 17 here, when he has a few more groceries in him, Brandon, he looks a little more impressive than he is. But we just looked at 14, and he was getting pretty out there, so I backed the feed down, and that's the problem. They're not individualized. When you guys get these things home and individualize them, you can feed them in a little more unique. That one needed to be pushed a little bit harder. He has melted down a little, but his brother didn't need the gas, and there's 4 of them in a pen, and you kind of just feed to the average or the mean, and both of these pigs could handle a little bit more. The last 2 needed to be doing what we're doing, but different types and kinds here. I think from that gilt from a county fair level, man, she certainly got a lot of look to her. I'm not going to lie, the 17 pig that we have here, I'm pretty high on this one as well, Brandon.
Yeah, I think a tremendous pair. Just to talk them in order, lot number 16, your kind of wide-belted gilt. I think James hit the nail on the head. If you're searching for a county fair pig that you don't got to make excuses for, that's comfortable, her skeleton's laid in her correctly, she does it with length, she does it with the right kind of look and right kind of structure, and certainly has round rib cage and true muscle. I think she'll certainly be one that's going to be a very easy feed, and she's just going to be consistent along the whole way. James also touched on lot number 17. I like buying pigs like lot number 17. Sometimes them ones that have the early indicators, they get a little pricey. And if you want to sit back and think about deep litters that are consistent and find the little skinny green bean, I like to call them, that's got the same skull, the same chest, and the same rib cage with the same kind of foot size, maybe just in a little skinnier, later maturing kind of a package. I think lot number 17 is one that I think meets that description. A very good presence, a comfortable skeleton, a collected top line, a long rump with a hind leg that bends and functions as good as anything in the offering. Yes, he's skinny. I think you throw him in a pen, you put him on some hotter feed, you close your eyes 3-4 weeks down the road, you're going to really like what you got. This is lot 16 and 17. I think that 17 could get really, really nice come this summer.
All right, lot number 18 and 19 are going to be coming in for Redwood, and the different out of different league. 61 is going to be the sire heavy hitter in game, and Brandon and I we might have had a little bidding battle about this. This sow derives from a purchase and the Ottenmalter firm of Brett Gilt, and it's one that we were both up there watching that preview and trying to put a couple sows in our herd, and I think we had a little bid off, and Brandon won. He's got heart rate on his side, and I don't know, we don't have anyone on our side. So anyhow, sow goes to them. Good work out of the different league 61 board. But I'm very excited. My ears just kind of perked up like I'm a sow in heat out in the lot there studying these things, because I remember that sow. I mean, she was salty, she was sexy, she was everything you could want a foundation-type female to look like. That different league 61, if you saw that boar, they previewed those boars that day, and if you've never been to Ottenmalter, I mean, that different league 61, he is unique and sets himself apart. There's multiple different league boars up there that Brandon and I saw that day, but that different league 61, he's certainly different. I'm a big fan of this pair. These come in different types and kinds to me, and obviously they're Redwood pigs, and I'll talk about the lot number 19 that Coop's on there, that calico one, and if you know me and know my MO, skeletal quality, proportions, build, design, basic fundamentals of livestock. That's what I'm all in on, and I'll give up a little pig to get there, and that Gilt certainly checks those boxes. Now, what I will say is you don't have to give up anything to get there on this pig. Her stoutness a feature, her appropriateness in terms of with the skeleton, split at her blade, and the center section of her body cavity is just so appropriate and so futuristic in terms of being a big-time, not only show gilt, but a foundation female or gilt that can generate a barrel when it's all said and done. She has just about every indicator that you can have, and then you take a good slope to her shoulder, an awesome kind of hip and hind leg. That one's kind of a Disneyland-type pig, in my opinion. Maddie's on the one, and you want to talk about one with big pieces. That gilt certainly has big pieces and reaching power, and if you want to take one out and be a weekend warrior, that tag number 18 or lot number 18 certainly looks like one that can handle a tremendous amount of competition tomorrow, and at the same time, there's enough stretch in that pig, there's enough sexiness. What's really unique about this pig, or sexiness to go long term, what's really unique about that one is normally when you have those extras in terms of just sheer power and mass and bulk, you don't get it in a clubby kind of package that's trendy up front and so loose and so flexible in its skeleton. That thing's versatility in terms of being able to keep it like that and keeping it together, I'd like to say that thing's not maxed out, but looks like one that's maxed out but still handles it where you can go in every day, but at the same time one that staying where you got it full like that and is going to maintain comfortability of skeleton. That one just looks next level in my opinion. If you're out there and you're looking for those pigs that compete at the expos of the world and those big shows back in the Midwest, the major Midwest state fairs, certainly that's a pig that I would earmark on my deal. Love them both, little different type and kind. Certainly the sow that they come out of, there's a reason they look like that. I don't know, Brandy, you got anything to add?
I really loved when James pushed me to 8,500 on their mom. That was fun. It was a fun day. Was it 75? Oh, it's $1,000 amongst friends. Anyways, we had fun having a little bid battle. I could tell you, we're committed to bringing our best, and it just so happened she kicked out this pair of gilts, and they're in the offering, and they're for sale tomorrow there on showpig.com. I think depending on your priorities and how you like to buy an early gilt or any hog for that matter, you could certainly gravitate towards one or the other. If you want them bulky, with next level feature and insulation and bone, I think you'll tie into the wide belted gilt and lot number 18, I believe. To me, just her skull, her root, her bone, her feature, I think is next level. I don't know how she remains so comfortable in her shoulder and good in her step out back. I love that she does. I'll be the first to tell you, and it's obvious, she likes to sit there with her head in the feeder. I think you get her home and you stick her in her own pen and you tuck her up in her midsection and tidy her up front. I think she could be an absolute hammer in a show gilt or market arena. And then James kind of touched on the calico. I think he hit the nail on the head. Her presence, her immaturity, and her skeletal quality, I think, is as good as any pig that we brought in this particular offering. I know we talked about a little earlier. If you believe in buying out of deep litters, I think this hog's chest, floor, and rib reads just like her mates. I think her pin set is big and square. I could really see this gilt a month or two down the line stepping up to the plate and bulking up like her mates and being next level in terms of her look. I think a fun pair of gilts. It sucks to sell them, but like the rest of you guys out there, we got bills to pay. Here they are, lot number 18 and 19.
Hard act to follow, but an awesome litter, I think, to do it. And the 176 litter Rocks are going to come here, and we're going to drop this trio of boars out in the ring. What the cool thing about this, obviously, Sword is at upper hand, and Sword and Dagger litter mates, and certainly pigs that have been very dangerous out there, and take them the way you want to. What's maybe more important to me than that, Brandon, is the 72-3, the slow your roll, stay in your lane sow. She's derived from the Kilmer herd. It was actually Curry's show pig. She was third out Duroc at the Western Regional, maybe reserve or third out. I can't remember what it was back in 24, 25, 24, I guess it was. And she made the third out Duroc at Western Bonanza. She made the reserve champion gilt at Northern Exposure, and she made a class winner at Western Regional this year. So this will be her second litter. Those are kind of the accolades from her first winner. She was an awfully good-looking, good-built, good-designed pig that looked like she could make Durocs that were next level. Thought Sword and Dagger were very good. I thought the Sword boar maybe just a little better suited to her, not being so far out there from Dagger. Excited to see what you have in here. A little different in terms of shapes and sizes and type and kinds. A little bit of variance there, but certainly quality. And what's important in this litter to me is whether you're wanting to go to a late June venue or land yourself into mid-August, I think there's frame size appropriateness and type and kinds appropriateness to feed to those different time frames, maybe in a 35, 40-day wind day span.
Yeah, I think a really good trio, these Durocs. I was kicking through them this afternoon, and I could tell you, I think if you're coming to this sale and you want to put a high-end purebred on inventory, I think the Duroc division may not have a lot of numbers. I could assure you, if you buy one of these three and it fits your show window, you're going to like what you did on sale day. To talk them in order, I believe, Coop, you got 20 down there, bud? Lance has 20. To me, 20 is the one that if you just get him chasing the stick back in the pins, that's maybe the one that I gravitate towards as much as any of them in terms of just his height, the way he throws his neck out of the top of his shoulder, and still has a stout kind of a jaw with that much cleanliness, that much extension. I think it's hard to do in any breed. You work from his front third back into his mid-body, and though he's maybe a little greener in his muscle, that thing's got a big square back. He is round ribbed, and his forerib, his mid-body. I think what's cool about all three of these, and I'll probably say it again, but just their ability to utilize their hip and their hind leg, not only with functional step, but a coordinated, attractive kind of an aesthetic to it, I think is really, really good. This lot number 21 that Cooper's got there, it's pretty obvious he's the pin bully. That dude is husky. He's wide coming and going. His skull, his blade, and his back, I think all match. To me, that's a power hog. That's one you could go early. I honestly think his length of body and the amount of true muscle he's equipped with, I could certainly see pumping the brakes and getting him later into the show season could certainly suit him well and easy as well. I think a neat pig in his own regard. And then we'll talk about the one that Maddie's got. And to me, this guy's maybe as modern in terms of just his length of body, his head shape, his length of hip, and the way he uses his hind leg is as good as any in this particular litter. I like this pig's chances. He's big in his arm. His rear ankle and foot size is extra stout. I like this pig a good deal, guys. If you want to go into August and have a contender in the Duroc division, I'd certainly have him on my short list.
Just add on a little what he says about him. That one Maddie's on out there, that one's been kind of a standout in the nursery that just when you walked in and that cocky presence that he has, he's always been a little pounds behind. He's kept the pace with his mates, but there's something we call it factor, wow factor, just makes you go back to looking at pigs. When he was a nursery in a pen of 15, 20 pigs that were in there, he was always the one that attracted your eye, and same thing when you get out here with these three, he's the one that does that. But again, a trio of barrows that we're pretty proud of, and certainly what we would call one of our foundation Duroc styles that we have here. We have a pair of them I think are pretty good, and that happens to be out of one of them. That is lot number 20, 21, and 22. Again, you buy them as you see fit, whether you need to fit in July or into August shows. I think that's probably the more appropriate thing, a way of sitting on them. Going to be a set of gilts that come out here. Actually, they'll probably come out in pairs 2 and 2. Lot number 23 and lot number 24, which is going to be the Dash 5 and the Dash 6. We're going to run 4 gilts at you, and honestly, I'm excited to see what Machado says about these. And I don't think he's seen them out here on the carpet or walking around. And honestly, I've gone back and forth, and as they mature, and Brandon can speak for this too, you kind of get your favorites when they're in the nursery. You come outside, you may keep that way, stay, and then through the 7-day process of bringing these things out here and picturing them, I think my mind's jumped around 4 or 5 different ways. There is a pair of these Durocs that I think can run very, very deep at big ring type of shows, though, Machado. 23 and 24. You might just have to shoot them. I don't know if they're going to chase. Just get them going. Don't worry about it. You're probably going to have to just walk them both together. These two are stupid.
Well, I think, just briefly kicking through these Durocs and the pins, I was excited to get them out here on the carpet and check them out. I know James and the small town crew, they've taken the red breed very serious in terms of just acquiring females that can get the job done not only in the ring but from a generating standpoint. To me, this lot number 23 looks like the kind of gilt. If you want to gas on one and win the Duroc division as a market hog, I could certainly see you doing that. In my opinion, she looks like a big ring Duroc, kind of a show gilt. To me, her presence, her comfort, her length, and just comfort out back, I think is awesome. Her comfort and just her skeleton, I think is extra, extra good. The more importantly, though, her foreribs bold. She's got a big turn to her upper skeleton. That looks like a hog that's going to feed with some power, a hog that's going to feed and have some presence and some quality, and do it with an indestructible kind of a hip and hind leg. To me, certainly a highlight in the red division. Nothing to take away from lot number 24. To me, if I am shopping for maybe a market hog, this hog's chest floor, her length of body, and her pin set is extreme, and I mean that in a good way. This thing is cracked open. Her pins are big, her shape's big, and her ribs extra round. To me, she looks like a market hog. If you got time on your hands and you wanted to skinny her up, I could see her presence, her proportion being good in terms of any arena via breeding or market. I think a good pair. I know if these first two look like this, I'm excited to see what the next two bring to the table.
And again, that is lot number 23 that Maddie's on, and lot number 24 that Coop's on out there. We'll drop them out. We got 2 more red ones coming at you. Same thing that you saw. You've seen 4 of them. Here's number 5 and number 6. And in my opinion, for a Duroc litter to be this deep and this rich in quality. Maybe my favorite gilt might be coming out here right now. But lot number 25 and lot number 26 are jumping out here. A deep, high-quality litter of Durocs, and certainly size variance right here. The smallest one in the litter and the biggest one in the litter. So Maddie's going to be on lot number 25. Coop's going to be on lot number 26. We'll let Machado discuss them and see what he thinks. But I think all 6 of these could win, depending on the venue you put them in.
Yeah, I agree. I think just to keep them in order, we'll talk the little gilt that Maddie has. I could tell you she's probably the pounds lightest amongst this litter of reds. I could assure you she packs a punch from a quality, width, and just moderation of body standpoint. We talk about making these hogs long up front, short in their midsection with length out back. I couldn't see one that maybe fits that mold as good as maybe this lot number 24 gilt. She's boxy. She's got a neat head and a neat look, certainly one with power. I think that becomes a very neat project later into the game as we creep into summer. I'm not sure which one James was alluding towards. I could tell you, though, this gilt that's maybe being a pain in the butt over here for Cooper, if we can get her out in the ring, guys, quality stock, regardless of breed. That's a bold-centered gilt. Her length of hip is incredible. Her ability to use her hind leg, I think, is awesome. That's a gilt that if you just study her from a power perspective, man, you love her and you gravitate towards her. I think you'd take a step back, and if we could get her to chase and just cross the ring, this is a gilt who's got presence. She's smooth blending, and as for as much power and bulk that she does bring to the table, I think that's hard to do. I think it's hard to do in any breed, certainly as a Duroc. And I'll encourage you guys, too. There's going to be some of these things come out here and hop on the whips and look like veterans. Some of these things aren't going to be real smart. Down-eared pigs typically aren't the smartest to start with. What I encourage you to do is go grab you a flag, study these Durocs, chasing them around there in the pins. I think these things are extra, extra good.
Yeah, that was 25 and 26 heading out. Maddie was on 25. Coop was on 26. We'll head out with 25 and 26, and we'll get back to the Redwood firm here, 27 and 28. And, we got a barrow, we got a gilt, or we got a boar prospect and a gilt out here. Coop's going to be on lot 27. That's the one on the tuna can, if you're following. Maddie's going to be on 28. 74 litter pigs, litter mates. We've talked about this pedigree over and over. Say So, Strictly Business would be the sow, the $28,000 pig, derived from Goss at Kings, and I would say $28,000 is a lot of money for a pig, right? But it looks like the return on the investment is going to be pretty good on that thing. And you just sweeten the pot. You put that one-way bore on the top side of the pedigree, and man, good things are happening there. Awfully good pair of them. That boar prospect, man, he is a wild creature, and that one has some big pieces, and he is sexy and he is good looking. He looks like a man. He looks like a show barrow. I think that one's got enough stoutness and everything too. If you want to go ahead and slide him into a boar prospect category, I don't necessarily know if I disagree with you. If you're one of those people like me that breeds hogs and you got family that shows, but potentially you could take one a boar. That's the kind of pig that I accumulate and just kind of see what he does. But big ring barrow presence, certainly has those boar characteristics. That gilt, man, she is a pretty cool kind of creature in terms of the way she's put together. And when she walked out in the ring, I mean, again, those things that just catch your mind. She's a sharp-looking cat when she gets out there. And for one that has elevation like that, and I'm not saying she's long-bodied, but one that is certainly not a short-bodied hog. Her proportions are good for me, but when they get elevated like that, to have a noggin that is that stout and that powerful, her blade and her forearm are so big and so powerful and work so good off the front end of that skeleton, and I don't know if you can put a better center body in one in terms of having future. I see that one could be a dangerous market hog. I see that one could be an even more dangerous big show kind of gilt when you talk about like state fairs and CYAs in our part of the world. But man, the value in that one to me when her show career's done and after she's got a bunch of banners on the wall is going to be go ahead and breed her out of a litter like this, and especially with a litter mate male like that out there. Maybe that, I don't know how you see him, Brandon, but that's a pretty good pair of them.
Yeah, I think a neat pair. As I said earlier, guys, this sow had 5 head, and we brought all 5 of them. I could tell you we don't really like to sell a lot of gilts, but you come to these live sales and you get a crowd, you certainly got to bring your best. And, you know, she's for sale, guys. I think that lot 28 gilt, she encompasses a lot of the neat things that kind of intrigued us on Mom. Her forehead shape, her stoutness to her jaw, that kind of an intimidating look in terms of chest and arm size coming at you. But then you step off to the side, no crest, a flat back, and a neat look with a hind leg that pushes and goes north and south. I could tell you, too, Mom is about as bulky, heavy-boned, and hairy as anything. Maybe you guys might look on camera or in person and say, boy, you know, will she get hairy enough? I could assure you, of all the things to worry about on her, that shouldn't be one of them. Then we'll talk the lot 27 male pig, and I could tell you guys, he is extreme. He's the freak in the litter. He's got the ESTs, whether it's width, bone, muscle, power, skull, whatever you want to describe, he has the most. I could tell you, you know, James touched on, you know, maybe some boar pieces. I think he could certainly go that route. I'd be interested to see this pig get off the hot jet fuel feed and kind of mellow out and get those seeds ripped out and see what he's capable of doing in an August, September kind of a window. I think that pig intrigues me as much as any that we brought here to the sale. Another pair of these 74s. We got big faith in Mom moving forward.
That is lot number 27 would be the boar prospect, barrow prospect, whatever you want to say, the male with seeds in him, and lot number 28, the gilt. And I promise you, if you're online or you're looking on the internet, they are as good in person as they are in their pictures. Deadly pictures and deadly in terms of what they are in person. The 179 litter is going to come next for the small town firm. This is going to be our spotted hogs, and the spotted thing we're passionate about, and I don't really know why, but certainly the spots are maybe what we become known for a little bit out here on the West Coast, and not necessarily planned that way, but we started with the foundation pig back in 22, I guess it was, that was a champion, and then you start talking about things. Grandma was a champion spot at the 20,000 or the 23 California State Fair. She was a champion spot at CYE, third out purebred, which for a spot to be third out pure at CYE, pretty good feat. Then you work your way into 2024, and she sired the champion spotted hog at the California State Fair. You get into 2025, that was a really good year. When you talk about the mom of these pigs here, or a litter mate to the mom, we talk about pedigree, but mother is a litter mate to the 2025 champion at CYE. She was a litter mate to the reserve dark AOB at California State Fair. Salinas Valley Fair, which is no slouch of a county fair, had the reserve dark AOB there. So lots of winning pedigree here. Again, this sow would be a litter mate to the George Barrow that's up there on 2025, gets back to the George Barrow that's over here. Originates grandma would be the Skinner pig that was there, and I believe I left out in there we had the champion spot gilt at California State Fair that Lorelei showed out of the original sow, not the original, but the first litter out of that original sow from 22. So winning pedigree right here. I will say these spots always start out a little straighter, and I question it when they come out of these lines. This is the very best litter of spots that I have ever started. There's only one male in the thing, and I wish he wouldn't have, got the skin funk there. It's been doctored and worked on, but I think that this spot barrow has a chance to be better than either of these pigs that you see on the wall here from a spotted thing. And there's going to be 3 gilts coming at you, Machado. I think 2 of them are absolute hosses that can handle a significant amount of competition.
Yeah, so if you were tuning in a minute ago, it sounds like this line not only looks good as baby pigs and sells well, they go on, they feed, they win, and they produce. And I think that's important to notice. I could tell you I've bid on a lot of spot pigs here, and I've tried to own them. I could tell you these things are good, guys. And, James might have just made a comment that I don't agree with. To me, there's 3 gilts in this litter. You're going to see man, I think to flip a coin and or be smart enough to crystal ball it, I couldn't tell you which one's better. I'll go ahead and just start with the male as I'm trying to decide, though. To me, a husky, heavy-boned, hairy kind of a male pig that's long in his rump. He's stout in his head and big, big, big in his arm. I could tell you, you'll see even relative to his little sister here and the other pair to come, is he as bloomy and as ready to be a sale baby pig as the sisters? Probably not. If you just listen to James talk about the accolades that Mom brings to the table, her ability to produce and generate, and you got a spotted hog division there, end of July or coming into August, I could certainly see myself putting him on my list. And then we'll talk about the little gilt. I don't know if this is one of the two James talked about. I could assure you, if you like short-bodied, round-ribbed livestock that are long-hipped with a perfect skeleton and a cute head and neck, I think you could certainly like this spot gilt. In this particular breed, to be that comfortable in her elbow and her knee, to have no crest and be that tidy about her lower neckline, man, I think that's hard to do. You watch her cross the ring, she remains flat-backed. Her long hip just allows her to be so good in terms of the assembly of her hip and hind leg. Man, I think that gilt's good. I know what the other two look like that are coming, so I get why he said that, and I'm just giving James a bit of a hard time in that regard. I could tell you, if those two get high and you want to look smart, own this lot number 30 gilt.
Yeah, that was lot 29 and lot 30 coming out, and lot 31 and lot 32 coming in, and I have a feeling you're going to get pretty excited about one of these that drop out here, Machado. Again, we didn't talk about the boar, but Waxahachie would be the sire of these. That's the boar that's at Todd Show Pigs, or Gary Todd up there, and he's a good friend of us, and the Lindleys have had a lot of success with those pigs, and we've bought a lot of pigs out of there, and Slate family, and certainly Gary Todd would be someone that we consider very good friends of ours and a good livestock mind. And he told me a while back that he had a spotted boar that needed to be used and needed to be put in the very best spots in the country. And I don't know if we have the best spots in the country, but it was pretty instantaneous to us that we were going to breed some pigs to Waxahachie, and one of these gilts out here is certainly what I think I had in mind what was going to happen when we put this mating together. But I'm not saying the other one's not good, but there's one that kind of sets herself apart out here, Brandon.
Yeah, Gary's a good man, and he's a really good livestock guy. I could tell you, if you're raising down-eared Polands or spots right now and you're utilizing his genetics, it's probably going to suit you very good moving forward. I get it, James. I see why you're excited here, and honestly, to have all these of this caliber and have them all on the sale, you might go to the doctor, get your head scanned, and see what they got to say. I could tell you, I think you're crazy, not only because you're selling them all. I'm still trying to figure out which one you think's the best one, because I could tell you, if you want to start with the lot number 31 gilt and talk about the widest, bulkiest, stoutest purebred hog that we've had in this arena, yet still blends her pieces smooth, yet still aesthetically that attractive in terms of her look, long in her hip, man, I think that gilt's extremely good. And then if you think back to the little gilt, you think about the gilt I just described in 30 and 31, I think that white-headed 32, if you want to talk about a good litter of pigs and taking some of the traits of the better animals, combining them into one pig, to me, that's the one that does it, the white-faced lot number 32 there. To me, guys, to have that kind of just attractive look, that kind of balance, that kind of look and just presence, and to do it with that kind of a chest floor, that big of a forearm with the rib cage and hip and hind leg that moves and is built like that, I think it can get a guy kind of fumbling on a microphone like I am right now. I think if you just kind of close your eyes on sale day on them gilts, get one of them bought and in your barn, you're going to really like what you did. A very, very high-end, elite kind of a trio of spot gilts here, Small Town Genetics.
Okay, Redwood's coming back at you here. Lot number 33 and 34. 33 is going to be he talked about there's 5 in the litter. He brought all 5. Here's the other one-way say it so. That's going to be the narrow-belted pig that's out there that Maddie's on now. I think Machado's trying to get him switched off. Lot number 34 is going to be the wider belted one. Again, that goes back to the different league, heavy hitter in game. That's the sow that we were having the bid off war in that they brought that bred gilt acquisition here. So certainly a pair of them here. And I will say this will be the most drastic difference you're going to have in terms of a pair of pigs from one that's green and futuristic to one that has absolute sheer power right now. In my opinion, if we're talking about these as barrow prospects, they certainly have different feeding programs to get them where they are. They certainly have different endpoints. I'll talk about the one that Maddie's on first, just in numeric order, lot number 33. Those of you that know me, those of you who have shot for pigs with me, this is the kind of pig that is very intriguing to me because I like them green, I like them futuristic, and that thing certainly reads that way. But maybe more importantly, what I like them to look like a sexy show barrel when you're up front. I like them to have bulletproof feet and legs. I like them to be square when they come and go. And I just believe in a solid nutrition program and the genetics that are behind these things, that every day that pig is going to get better and better and better and fun to go out. When they look like that from the side, when they're proportioned like that from the side, and when they're green and skinny and futuristic and at the same time got big fat legs. I mean, check out the forearm in that thing that Coop's on right now, the one that's on the tuna can, if you guys don't know which one's Cooper Maddie. Certainly that thing has a ginormous forearm, has a huge blade in him, and I mean big feet, square toes, awesome kind of dew claws, and those are things we don't talk about, but those are things that sort you from being second and being the winner. We get to a big show. That thing has a big, bright future. I know he's not the fluffiest one right now, but that is the kind of pig I like to feed. On the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the one that Maddie's on or Coop's going to transition to, because that lot 34, Brandon uses the word husky hoss a lot. That one certainly checks those boxes. But you want to talk about a pig that comes at you busted open, square in his chest plate. I mean, that thing has an enormous sternum in him, and for one that is that massive and bold when he comes at you, normally you get the bulldog effect coming at you. That blade gets open, that blade gets splayed. That is not the case in that guy. He is naturally just a wide-shouldered, wide-bladed, square, big sternum, but he stays really square from blade knee to ground. He's got a huge cage in him, ginormous motor, and that hip and hind leg for one that's got that kind of mass, man, it operates extremely well, flexible, sound, and I challenge you to find a pig that comes and goes that wide, that has that kind of dimension and yet has flexibility. What I want you to look at, especially some of you guys that are sitting here that are young judges, when you get them that massive, everything goes north and south on that pig when you talk about feet and leg placement. There is no east and west at all. And, yeah, back that one down. I'm sure that's what Brandon's going to say on him. Relax just some of it. We're trying to get these things sell ready for you guys. That one does not need to be on hot, amped-up feed, but that certainly looks like a pig that gets past 98% of them at a show just on sheer dimension and soundness. Different types and kinds. I like both of them. We'll see what Brandon has to say.
Yeah, you know, you put these sales together and you get sale list. I probably didn't think of it when I did it. I put the greenest 74 liter with the big husky ready 73. They're definitely different kinds. They damn sure have different endpoints. To talk them in order, we'll talk 33 that Coop's got. To me, in that particular litter, that hog's been very intriguing in terms of not only just being a little bit of a greener kind of a pig, his head shape, his length, and his ability to run uphill kind of reminds me of the reason why we bought Mom in the first place. You go down to the surface for a greener hog, you want to talk indicators, his forehead, his foot size, his tail root, all those things read very, very stout. I could assure you he maybe doesn't want to just chase and be the most responsive. To me, this pig has a very, very high ceiling, in my opinion. I think he could be very, very close come this summer. And then if you're here and you're talking about, never mind. Lot number 34 on the wide belt. To me, that pig in terms of just a county fair setting and showing up with one that's opened up, massive, and one that's going to have the ESTs in terms of power, bone, and feature. Man, I think that pig could get the job done at a lot of these county shows. I don't say that in a bad way, guys. I could see this pig going home and trimming up, and if he does the right things, he could certainly get there in the end as well. That's a powerful, athletic, opened up kind of a pig that I like a good deal. Myself, I'm a very big fan of lot number 33. I like this pair, though.
All right, Redwood is heading out with 33 and 34. Small Town's coming in with 35, 36. We're at the 180 litter, Brandon, and Hot Rod's going to be the boar. That's a boar that's at Gary Todd's, an all-white boar, trying to make these crossbred jigged up things. You get on the south side, it's out at 37-2, which means nothing to you guys. To me, it means a lot. That shades on we call her the Platte York. You'll remember that Jack Lindley, maybe not towards the end of his career, but he had a gilt from Platte that he played pretty decent coin on and had champion at State Fair. That would be the mom that goes back to grandma, I guess is what it is. Bred her to shades, made some of these white composites, put it on another white composite. As you know, we're big fans of the white pigs here and blue pigs. I kind of just am drawn to those things, and I try and make those. This is probably the first time I've had success at putting these white pigs together with having some extra bone, feature, skull density, and getting them in a shorter bodied package. And I don't mean short bodied in a bad way, but the right kind of a barrow package. There are some big pieces in these things when you talk about Yorkshire classifying barrows, whether you're going to county fair, but certainly something it takes to compete at, like, and I'm just talking about our part of the world, State Fair, California Youth Ag Expo. I apologize. They broke along with the spots last week. They popped up with some skin rash, and we treated them. Believe it or not, we're in much better shape today than we were 3 days ago, but the work is in progress. I think we got an old bale of shavings that we threw down in a couple of those pins, a little Dectamax, a little Prolate. They're on the hill up there, but I am a big fan of the 80-1 and the 80-2, lot number 35 and lot number 36. I think these are white composites that can play at a very high level.
Yeah, I'd agree with James. I think at every sale there's been a really good group of these white hogs that can show in the Yorkshire divisions out here on the West Coast or anywhere where it's just purely off of color qualifying. I'm darn sure in agreement. I think when you study these pigs in this particular litter, you study skull shape, arm size, hair, and length. I think these pigs are as truly as clubby and as modern in their proportion as any of the whites that have walked through the sale ring here at Small Town this particular sale season. We'll start with 35. To me, that hog's maybe immature in his muscle. If you believe in buying hogs with a stout noggin, a big chest, and a round rib with a big pin set, a green muscle, and the kind that you can lay into the barn and hit them with the feed bucket and they respond, that's a short list, kind of a Yorkshire in my mind, a Yorkshire qualifier, if you will. I think that pig's got a very high ceiling come this summer. His brother, lot number 36, he's probably the one that's maybe a little more obvious and further along today. He, too, has the same chest as his brother. You work from there back. Today, his forerib, his spread out of the back of his shoulder, back down his back and into his pin set is big. It is aggressive. What's cool about this hog, for as much power as he's packing, he's within his body wall as he leaves. He reaches and flexes really good. That's a husky, hairy, kind of a moderate package that's got a neat look ahead of his shoulder. I think these white pigs are very good.
Thirty-eight, 39 are coming in, and these are the littermate gilts to the boys you just saw there, and it wasn't a gigantic litter. We only got 5 pigs weaned, and 4 of them make the sell here, and it wasn't because the other one wasn't good. It's just about half the size, and you guys will see it when we have our April edition of this sale. But again, out of the hot rod boar at Gary Todd's. If you've seen that boar in person, seen the picture, he looks exactly like he does in person as he does in his picture, and there's a reason that these pigs look like this. You put that pure Yorkshire base, on the grandma side, you start crossing it up, and Shades, for those of you out there in the world, you may not know who Shades is, but that's a boar that we bought from Brenning. We gave $40,000 off the farm for him, and he made some awfully good kind of show prospects, but his true value is definitely going to be when we go ahead and talk about those sows that what he's done. The improvement of our sow herd on that Shades boar is so good. He's a tricked out son. Brandon's seen him last year. He saw a lot of pigs out of him, but the sows are starting to come through and generate things like this. And again, proportionality speaking, that little one, she is exciting to look at, in my opinion, Brandon.
Yeah, not a huge litter. James, obviously, he stuck them all in this particular offering. I could tell you, if we're talking them in order and you're following around ringside or online and studying sale order, lot number 37 is the pound smallest pig in the sale. If you made me put together a short list and talk about cross gilts or a breeding piece and something that could get you down the road, she's certainly one of them. I think this hog's skull shape is very indicative of everything she brings to the table. A big back, a short body, a big pin set. This thing's bone and hair, I think, is very, very, for the times, if you will. She's immature and she's tiny. If you got a long show window and you got a lot of shows you'd like to go to and do it with a quality animal that I think brings some value down the line, whether it's selling a gilt or keeping one and laying one in to make some dirty whites, I think 37 could do all of the above. And I'm not sitting here just going off on 37. 38 is no slouch, guys. I think like her brothers, her bone, her hair, and her length of body is extra good. Maybe even amongst that litter, maybe her neckline, her tie, and just the way she blends her neck out of the top of her shoulder is probably as good as any of those. Her chest is broad and square, her hips long. I just think the comfort of this litter and just bone and hair is good in all four of them. I think depending on your goals and what you're wanting to do into the summer or maybe into the fall could certainly push you in one way or another. I think the main thing here is these 180s are good hogs, and they're damn good for dirty whites.
All right, coming back with Redwood at you, and we got another 7 pigs or so to show you guys. I believe this will be the final pair of the Redwood hogs here. Probably is as anticipated a pair of pigs for me to see after looking at the catalog visually and looking at the litter of pigs that they have here again. Out of that different league, 61 would be the sire, heavy hitter, in game would be the sow, and first impressions when these things come out is off the charts. That gilt that Coop's on there, I'm pretty sure she's lot number 40. I guess I'm going to talk him out of order. But just her natural presence and eye and pill, and that one, she just looks like she's built to go on the catwalk. As she holds that head up, and Brandy used the term arrogant, like she just has that arrogance about her that she's just going to strut, and you're looking for a pig that is as easy to break, easy to show, easy to get the judge's attention. That is certainly one that is going to do that. And they just study the pig, and for a pig that looks like that on the side, she is so pliable and just so smooth and so correct when you study her through that center cage, and that round rib, that shape that she has, that belly, that internal dimension that she comes at you with. I like the appropriateness of shape. I like the muscle texture, I guess, is probably what I really love about this gilt. Again, everything runs north and west on her, or north and south, nothing east and west. Neat look from the side, powerful from the side. comes at you and leaves you with the right amount of everything, I think that's an awfully nice kind of gilt. Certainly the barrow, or the boar here, barrow, whatever you want to call him, when you just look at him first impression, yeah, he's the one. He's just a little more wicked when you get on the top side of his skeleton, and the way that he spreads that sharpness and muscle shape and that more extreme kind of muscle pattern down the top side of his skeleton is certainly impressive. I like the pin set that he has. I like the appropriateness of stifle width in proportion to hock placement, the way he does all that. I think that's very good when you get one that's got a little more stifle, but yet that hock is still placed inside the skeleton. That indicates real good things. That turn to his rib, he's going to be a massive, powerful pig. And yet when you get on the side of him, he offers a neat kind of look too. He looks like one you can kind of ease the protein down, just let him be a pig, for most of his life, and then that last 2 to 4 weeks, depending on when you need to be, you hit the gas pedal on that one, and he looks like one that is going to respond and be an awfully good dark cross kind of market hog. County fair pig, yeah, certainly he looks like he can get to the backdrop real fast there. That one's real close in my mind, Brandon, to being that big ring kind of pig that can really push to get in the limbo when you get to CYE.
Yeah, I think a fun way to round out these 73s, I could assure you, Big Puma, Jake Harkrader, he's not a huge Calico fan, and as these things developed, he kind of came to me about a month ago and he said, I'm starting to change my mind. If they look like this, we're going to be okay. To talk them in order, lot number 39 that Coop's got, to me, more importantly, this pig just looks like he needs to get cut. Get him off the baby pig feed, get the seeds out of him. Man, when his neck trims up like it was for the vast majority of his life so far, this hog's just bulk, his blade, his back, his spread, I think is incredible. That's a big, square, stout kind of a hip. He's good in terms of just his bend to his hind leg. Heavy duty. I like that pig a good deal. I think we started with a pig that I like a great deal. We wanted to end in the same fashion. I think this Calico gilt, I don't need to go into a ton of depth. I think James hit the nail on the button. Kind of a no excuses kind of a pig. To me, her skeleton's flawless. Her rib is pliable. She's got feedable kind of a muscle. And when she throws her head up and crosses the ring, that's a quality look, a neat look ahead of her shoulder with a hip and hind leg that's absolutely indestructible. That's lot number 40. I like this pair of Calicos a good deal. That Redwood we round out with.
Lot number 39, lot number 40, Redwood. 6 more pigs to come at you. We're going to close the sale with the 181 litter here, Brandon, and I'm excited about this pedigree here. So a good set of them. We got a pair of males that are going to be out here. I believe we got 4 gilts that are coming next. Everyday Hustle, which is a CNC boar that sold for an enormous amount of money. I believe it was at perfect timing when that happened. Is that correct? Or maybe a King's or one. Holy smoke sale, he was about a $90,000 deal when it was all said and done. And just as excited I am about the Everyday Hustle is the 134-7, Frederico the Grind. If that doesn't mean anything to anyone here, it means a whole lot to me, and it means a whole lot to a couple people who are sitting in the stands and maybe one young lady who is on the whip right now. But right straight ahead there, you'll see Maddie Lindley, 2005 Reserve Grand Champion Prospect Barrow. The 134-7 is the mom of that barrow right there. So mom is warm-blooded. She produced the Reserve Supreme Champion Jackpot Hog at not only that show but at the Grand National, and certainly that barrow that was at the CYE was well represented all year long, plugging in multiple times. I probably can't say enough. I'm excited to see what Brandon says, because contrasting types and kinds, but a litter that, even though they're a little different in terms of type and kinds, I think is very rich in quality. There's a pair of them here that I think will feed to a very high level. I wish we had a couple more weeks for these things to just kind of mature and settle into themselves, but I didn't think it was appropriate to wait till April. They'd be too big. I thought we needed to sell them right now, but here's the 2 barrow prospects, both dark crosses in my opinion, different types and kinds, different feeding windows. Coop's on lot number 41. Maddie's on lot number 42.
Yeah, I think this everyday hustle deal kind of speaks for itself. It's been good across the board, across the country. I know a lot of guys that are excited to have those things on feed and rally back and utilize him. This lot 41, he's about the same size as a little white gilt. I could assure you, if we can get him out of the corner and get him to prop his head up, I think a pig that's very, very intriguing. He's one that, to me, in terms of just skull, chest, and just roundness of rib, he's one that can get you there in those regards. He's big and stout in his upper hips and it just pin work. That thing's got some feature and some bones underneath of him. I think more than anything, if this is a pig that you need to go to an early show, I'd probably guide you in a different direction. To me, this hog kind of stretches into that end of August window. I think when you get him there, you're going to like what you got. That's 41. Personally, 42, that's one of my favorites in the offering of James's. Like his brother, same kind of a head shape, big arm. I just think more than anything, if you like buying hogs with proper maturity, hogs with really good build and design, hogs that got the right kind of feature, the right kind of rib cage, I think this pig's extra good. He's probably not as ready from a shape standpoint. I know James said, he didn't want to sit and wait on these things. If you can dig into just skeletal quality and just build, guys, I think this hog's got a very, very high ceiling. That's lot number 42.
I apologize. This 181 litter is not cooperative at all, and it is not from lack of effort. It is just that they do not want to be out here, and we've honestly been feeding them out in here because I almost thought it was like these pigs when we brought them into picture, Brandon, like someone was chasing them with an Uzi trying to kill them. They were wanting to get out of here. But anyhow, they are, believe it or not, they are 10,000 times calmer than they were 7 days ago when we started this process, and they've been out here multiple times. Lot number 43 and 44 are going to come in, and we'll get to some cooperative ones in here, but again, these probably aren't going to be great from that standpoint. But again, everyday hustle on the 134-7 sow, a pair of really nice gilts that right here, whether you want to make them show gilts, market hogs, whether you want to take them home and make foundation females. I hope the blue pig relaxes and settles into itself because I think that is one of the better crossbred gilts that we put together in a 10-year at Small Town Genetics. Interested to see what Machado has to say about him.
Yeah, I think neat pigs, more importantly, guys, talk about just pedigrees and getting some predictability from the bottom side of your paperwork there. I think you will, and you study the pedigree behind these things. To talk that splashed up gilt, I alluded towards it earlier, guys. Some of these things are going to come out here and respond and act great. Some of them are going to be skittish. Go get that gilt's head up in the barn and get her chasing a stick. I could assure you that she's a very, very high-quality kind of a pig. Big skull, humongous chest floor, guys. Yet she's comfy up front in her elbow, round-bodied. That gilt's shape and expression and true muscle, I think, is going to be exceptional as she moves down the line. That's another one. We talk about hogs that are kind of no excuses kind of pigs. I think her skeleton fits into that category. I think she's very, very good. This little blue gilt's got some sporty pieces. That's a stout head on a light cross female. I think that when that gilt gets her head up and she flattens and smooths out in her back there, I think you can kind of see what James is talking about. That's a big flag tail on top of a long hip with a big hind leg that pushes and moves with authority. Her chest, and just talk about where I'm sitting and studying right now. That thing's huge in her chest. Her front feet go straight north. There's no deviation in that regard. I think a very, very good pig. These little hogs, you're going to have to just go back in the pins and study them because you certainly aren't going to want to miss out on the quality that I think they bring to the table.
That is lot number 43 and 44. And the final pair that we're going to have today, we're sticking with the 181 litter, another pair of light cross gilts. I put everything in here. There was a litter of 8. I didn't put everything, I guess. A litter of 8. I put 6 of them in here, and honestly, I put the 6 best in here. The other 2 are just a little pounds light. And 45 and 46 come in here. I don't think we lose anything in terms of quality. I still think there's some awfully unique things. There's honestly one of these in here, Brandon, and I'm sure you'll find it that potentially could outdo her sister. Obviously, the darker blue, or the one with more blue that we just sent out, is the pig that I probably land on as my favorite. But there's another one here that is real dang close in my opinion, and I probably wouldn't argue with you at the end if you said this is going to be the one that wins the big ring show when it's all said and done, because I think she's pretty sporty as well.
Yeah, I think the sire selection on this sow worked extremely good. I know we've been doing this for about an hour or so now, and if you're still tuning in, I think there's some quality in front of you. If we can get these little crazy pigs out here and stick them for you, we're darn sure going to try to. This 45 gill, guys, to me, the first thing that jumps off the charts is quality, is presence, an elite kind of a look up front in terms of just head carriage, length and shape of neck. I think is extra good. To have that tiny and thin of a neck with that kind of chest floor underneath, that kind of back and roundness of rib back from there, and then you work back into her hip, a big pin set kind of a female. That's hind leg is absolutely incredible. I think that gilt's extra good. I'll be honest, I think James is certainly likes pigs the way he wants to like them, and I'm not sure which one of the pair he likes, because maybe I naturally gravitate towards the really stout and dense featured kind of lot 46 that rounds out the sale. To me, her chest floor, her forehead, her roundness of rib, she's got the big fat tail planted right on top of her hip with the same hind leg as her sister. I think it's flip a coin. If you want one that's a little waspier, a little wilder looking, you buy 45. If you want to buy the bulkier, stouter one, you buy 46. I think the main thing is if you want a high-quality light cross female, just buy one of them.
Well, we appreciate you guys for joining us this evening. That is the 46 lots that we have. And, again, Stacy's here representing Kennedy Ventures. It's on their Facebook page. And if you guys want to go back and visit it, it's also on showpig.com, which is going to be the platform that we'll be bidding on tomorrow. And Stacy has added a link to each one of those pigs. If you want to go watch that individual pig, you guys go ahead. Not only can you do it, but you can go back to the preview that's here. A big shout-out to Showpig, to Kennedy Ventures, and everything they do in broadcasting and giving breeders like myself and Redwood a chance to go ahead and showcase our products. For those of you that joined us live, we appreciate you guys, and certainly, as you know, it's a small town event. The barns are going to be open. You're welcome to enjoy yourself. We'll get the heaters fired up. If you guys want to cruise through the barns, they'll be open. As long as you guys want to be here, we will be here. Shout out to all the Peacock kids, to all the Peacock parents that helped, the Curry, the Backman families that do the day in, day out work the whole way through. My wife for putting food together not only today, tomorrow, but for wrangling all the kids in the back as we go through it. Appreciate our friends from Redwood here for joining us tonight, Jake and Brandon and their whole crews that do everything. Good, close friends of ours, and certainly have elite genetics that they're going to offer with us. Certainly miss the Dadsons and the Red Fever not being here this sale, but next year they'll try and get more in line where they have prospects. So appreciate you guys who joined us online. Again, showpig.com. Sale will go into closing at 12:30 tomorrow. Hopefully 1 o'clock tomorrow, Stacy says. We will get that clock going fast. I can promise you James Backman does not want this sale to stay open for 6 hours. We like to get them done, and if you followed us in our online sales, obviously been with SC for a lot of your switching over to Showpig. We crank that clock down fast, so bid early, bid often. Pete's here if you guys got any questions. He is an ambassador for showpig.com. He was gracious enough to be here. He's got the wrong hat on. He's got the wrong jacket on, but other than that, we think he's a pretty good guy. Call him, and he'll go ahead and discuss some of these lots with you. Barns are open. Phone lines are open. If you guys got any questions, we're certainly happy to entertain it. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. If we don't see you tomorrow, we'll see you in the barns.